based nonprofit operating in the Tri County areas of Broward, Miami Dade, and Palm Beach County. And I'm happy to be your host here today. The focus of our discussion will be on food and food systems in Miami Gardens and mobility, with a focus on UHP collaborations in the city on Get Moving Miami Gardens efforts to improve mobility and collaboration with food and beverage retailers to improve community health. Joining me in the discussion today are several of our partners, including some of the team from UHP, who have been working diligently on the topics of food and food systems as well as mobility. So I have with me from members of our partnership in Flippany, I have representative from Florida Impact to End Hunger, and our own community advocates and project management leads. And so today we want to bring attention to some of those programs that, of course, are focused on the Miami Gardens community and their health. All of our partners have been instrumental in getting different programs activated within the city of Miami Gardens, and they're in various stages right now. And to kick off our discussion, what I'd like to do is to have Ren take it on and lead the effort in the discussion on mobility and the things that we've been working on to improve that within the city of Miami Gardens. Go ahead, Ren.
All right, thank you so much, Natalia. So we should hopefully be seeing some slides in a moment, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the ways we've been trying to improve the bikeability and walkability of the city as part of UHP and as part of the larger Live Healthy Miami Gardens partnership. And so we've been working with Live Healthy Miami Gardens for about 5 years through a CDC REACH grant that essentially tasked us with looking into what can we do to improve the bikeability and walkability of Miami Gardens. So we've done that in a number of ways, right? Of trying to explore that, and a lot of our backbone at UHP is through community engagement. And so we've started to look into things, simple things that can be done that can improve things like bike infrastructure for the city. And we've also tried to explore through a survey what keeps people from biking in the city. So we found out, for instance, that 63% of Miami Gardens residents don't bike at all. There's also a lot of exploration with residents about what sort of things would help to create the environments that would essentially encourage people to bike a little bit more. So one thing we explored with both the City of Miami Gardens Public Works Department and Planning, as well as the residents, is the proposed, planned, and existing projects related to biking and pedestrian infrastructure in the city. So this map here, for instance, shows all of the projects that are existing as green, but then also things that had been planned and already funded, as well as the things that have been proposed but not quite yet funded, right? Things that are in the longer future. So we started to talk with residents about these and what their priorities would be as far as what neighborhoods, maybe what kind of locations, for instance, if these are in a proximity to a school or a library, what types of facilities, because they're not all the same. Some of them are bike lanes, some of them are bike trails. And when we were exploring that, we started to also understand where that was, right, through the survey. So we started to see that people preferred to prioritize areas around parks, around the stadium, right, of getting there so you don't have to deal with parking a vehicle. Around schools was a huge priority, which we've been trying to weave in work from our Safe Routes to School effort as well. And so it's all kind of culminating together. The priority areas around the Carroll City areas, around Riverdale Estates, and around Majorca Isles. And we also even started to get into like even specific streets, right? And so we had started to hear from people even about like where had the bike lanes been fading? Where did it feel more dangerous? Where was there perhaps more speeding? And in understanding that, what we did is take this information and find a way to show, here's all the schools, for instance, and show where were the projects that were prioritized based on the resident feedback. So we've provided this to the Department of Public Works. A lot of these things were also provided to the City Council so that they understand what are the resident priorities. So that's some of the stuff that we had done in our earlier years of the REACH grant. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about Complete Streets and the efforts we've been doing around that. So to build upon all that prioritization work of the different projects, I want to talk about complete streets first. What are they, right? So complete streets are essentially streets that are designed to consider more users than just a single occupant vehicle. So when you look beyond the car and beyond the asphalt, you see that there's people that are walking along the streets. There's people that are riding transit and waiting at stops. There are people that are strolling in more than just their feet. There are people that are differently abled that are navigating that experience every day and have very unique challenges. So Complete Streets really seeks to understand what those challenges are, what those experiences are, and design streets that really are designed for all users of all abilities, of all ages. And so what we've done is we have been working on something that the city had already committed to earlier on in, I think this was adopted in 2014 as part of their comprehensive development master plan. They committed to doing a complete streets manual and policy. Now, in October 2022, the city did indeed pass the Complete Streets Initiative Framework. It was a resolution, and it essentially committed 23 major sort of goals or values that were going to drive this Complete Streets Manual. So we're currently working on that at the moment. Throughout this time, and here's actually Councilman Stevens, who co-sponsored the bill, the resolution, sorry. And so you'll see here that the main things that are going to be happening is the development of that Complete Streets Manual, as well as we're going to be seeing that the manual is going to guide the next steps for the city as we start to finalize our 5 years through this REACH grant. It's going to give basically a plan for the city of how to continue to implement streets that are complete streets, that are streets for all ages and abilities and all sorts of users, and what needs to happen at the city level as far as their processes, their different rules, their programs to implement complete streets successfully. So we've been studying all of these things and really trying to work through all the things that are important and meeting with the city, all the things that are important with the city, as well as with the residents through the Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee that we helped start at Miami Gardens through Live Healthy. And so we've been having lots of conversations as well with national experts, right? So we worked with Safe Routes, which has also provided some input from somebody who used to work for the National Complete Streets Coalition. So a lot has been going on over the last few years. Here's an example of just the different ways that a Complete Streets Manual might look at a street. And let me see. Okay, so that's enough on complete streets. I wanted to show you some other little final things that we've been working on in the last 5 years. So we've also been talking with the Pedestrian Advisory Committee to identify some locations for some of those needs that were mentioned. As we've been in discussions, a lot of residents come forward and say, you know, what we really need is more awareness of the trails. We need more bike racks here and there. We need, you know, there's a many number of things, but some of these are moving forward. So what we've done is one big thing is that the trails, there's not a lot of people that are aware that they're even there sometimes. So the West Side Blueway Trail on the west side of the city goes north-south and gets close to like Betty T. Ferguson. And so we're actually going to be adding some trail signage in some key areas that we're working out with Public Works. And same thing along, actually, this is the area that we'll be adding it to, so around Miami Gardens Drive. Then we're also looking at the Dolphin Center Trail, which is actually just north of the North Dade Regional Library. It's actually right, the library's right here, and you can actually access the trail from there, and it goes around this whole residential complex. We want to bring more awareness to that, so we'll be adding some trail signs there. And then we've also been looking into where to put in bike racks. We've actually ended up landing at that we're going to install them at some of the trolley stops that are close to some of the commercial locations, because a lot of times you'll get there, especially if they're older shopping centers, there might not be a bike rack available because it wouldn't have been required at the time. So by providing a bike rack at the trolley stops, it just helps to provide a place to park your bike, grab your things, and be able to get back on and go without having to, you know, hook it up to like the handicap pole or some place that, you know, might not be ideal. And then finally, I wanted to highlight our community liaisons, which have been they've been holding weekly walking groups throughout the last couple of years. They've been not occurring over the last month or so, but for a while we were helping to create these community events that were a really wonderful way for people to come together because it was desired for there to be some sort of community opportunities to gather and to have these things together. And I guess the last thing, I think there's not another thing here. The last thing I want to highlight, and I apologize, I don't have a slide for it. I don't have a flyer for it yet. but we'll actually be working with the City of Miami Gardens Parks and Recreation Department and Live Healthy Miami Gardens to host the city's first ciclavia. So a ciclavia is essentially an opportunity to get on your bike or on your feet or however you want to stroll through the city and take to the streets without any vehicles there. And so this is going to happen in a portion of the roads around Betty T. Ferguson. And on September 30th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., there will be an Eventbrite. So Live Healthy will share more information about this, as we will too, on our website. It'll be bounce houses, food trucks. There's going to be some roller skating. There's going to be community bike rides, 2 of them, a community run, and a lot of other activities. Different partners will be in attendance, some vendors and whatnot. So
it sounds super exciting.
Yep, and that's all from me. So thank you all so much for tuning in.
All right. So Ren, thank you so much for that full rundown. I mean, it sounds really exciting. I mean, September 30th, it's not that long a ways. No. And as far as I know, they're also looking for people to have booths at that event. Is that correct?
Yes. If anybody's interested, you are welcome to contact me or Natalia, and she'll put you in contact with me. But you can email me at ren@urbanhp.org. So that's WREN @urbanhp.org. And essentially, if you're a partner that would like to go and participate in this event, it could be food related, it could be health related. If you're a vendor, even, you just may have to pay a vendor fee, of course, through the city, the typical sort of vendor fee. But organizations we'll try to provide a tent where possible, but if not, then we'll have some available for rent. But it should be a really wonderful event to get involved with.
Yes. All right. So thank you so much once again, Ren, for that mobility access, update on what's been going on in the City of Miami Gardens. I know that a lot of times people don't make the linkage to community health as it relates to access for everyone, because the City of Miami Gardens is a very heavily residential community. And so what that means is there are a lot of people that have homes that would want to be able to find something that's going to keep them active and have them be out there in the community, but be able to be safe out there as well. Right. And it's recognizing also that linkage to food and food systems. You don't just have a supermarket or a restaurant in an isolated space. You want to be where the people are. So if the people are there, then the idea is that they should be able to have access to those things. And that's all part of the system. And we want the system to work well for everyone. So once again, thank you, Ren, for that update. I know if you're unable to stay on, it's fine. But we thank you so much for giving us that beautiful update.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. And we wanted to go ahead and see if we can bring in into the discussion more on, the topic of food and food systems and those food access connections. And so as part of my role as a food systems program manager, I do help lead the Food Access and Security and Justice Initiative. And the basis of that is, as you could see on the slide, I believe that it was just pulled up. It's that we believe that everyone has the right to be able to access specifically local, healthy, and nutritious food. And local because, well, you need to have food where you are. It's about getting the food to the people, but where they are. And under that initiative, we have been focusing on our Go for Healthy Growth campaign. And that was launched right here in the city of Miami Gardens. And we're proud to have many different partners that are and have been supporting it throughout the years that it's been active. And we do have a few of them on the call right now. So initially, the focus had been on what you see there listed as PSEs. It's really just policies and systems and changes in the environment that would allow for people to go for healthy growth in the community. And so, I believe that Ren did mention that we have our community liaisons. So what are community liaisons? They are what we have been able to accomplish with UHP is to actually hire from the community directly. So we would have loved to have had one of our community liaisons represented here. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to. However, I can speak to the topic of our community liaisons. What they do is that they are from the community, of the community, and are advocates for the community that they live in. And so we hire directly for them to do outreach, because there's an understanding that the people that live there have a much better and thorough understanding of what the community needs, what it lacks, and so is therefore a really good voice for the community in the projects that we work on. And you're seeing now a picture of the youth from the resource room. We also would have loved to have had someone representing today. However, we weren't able to have that happen because, of course, life. And so the resource room was one of our other partners that worked on the Go for Healthy Growth campaign with us. And we did have a whole lot of other partners, including funders. And we have them represented here. You see some of the funders and partners, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. Because on this project, with our new focus, instead of on just policy, we really have been focusing on promoting a program. One of the issues that we encountered as we were pushing for a policy change in the city was we hit up against a pushback from the state level. And so what that meant is that what we were able to put forth is, instead of a policy, we put forward the Healthy Retail Incentive Program. And what it is that it instead of having to fight with laws that come down from the state, we're able to have a program that works much more comprehensively for the community without the pushback of state legislation. And so this is what it is. Instead of a policy, we have a healthy corner store initiative / healthy checkout / healthy retail incentive program. And it pretty much what it focuses on is having checkouts or checkout counters in retail establishments, both large and small, and even restaurants. So even if you have a restaurant that just regularly serves seated people, if they have a checkout counter where they have anything being sold right at that counter, then that's where we want to be. And that's what this program is about. It's about giving people the option to make the healthy choice, the easier choice at every checkout counter in all of the city of Miami Gardens. And as I mentioned, we do have several partners here who have been working diligently on that topic with us. And I do have Miss Arlene Hayes from Florida Impact End Hunger. They spearheaded the program's launch when it was originally a policy. And, I don't believe that Ms. Hayes is able to speak right now because there is a family emergency, but I know she wanted to make sure that she was represented on here. But again, it's Florida Impact End Hunger. They worked on very hard on the policy, which has now transformed into this incentive program that allows retailers to have no fear in joining it. And so what has happened is that, with this new program, we're able to have it where instead of having chips and dip and lots of candy, we want to see at our checkout counters more waters, more energy bars, more fruit, more things that will help it make it easier for you when you feel a little hungry and you're right at checkout, be able to make a good decision for what you can put in your mouth. And so, again, because we do have another partner with us here, Flippany, I wanted to be able to have Michelle from Flippany, Michelle Baldwin, speak to some of the involvement that Flippany has had over these last couple of years in having us get to this stage of the program. And we don't necessarily need a slide to speak to that. You want to go ahead? We can minimize the slide and have it be where Michelle can speak. You want to go ahead, Michelle?
Yes, thank you, Natalia. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Baldwin, and I am the Procurement and Quality Assurance Specialist with Flippany. Flippany is a sponsor of the USDA After School Meals and Summer Food Service programs. We provide nutritious meals and nutrition education to children in underserved communities in Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. Equitable access to healthy food, nutrition education, and physical activity are key to countering the issues that plague far too many communities. We believe that when kids and their families are supported with the knowledge and skills to live healthier lives, entire communities benefit. To that end, Flippany is collaborating with Live Healthy Miami Gardens in support of their Healthy Retail Incentive Program. This is a creative health and wellness initiative that encourages local food retailers to offer and market healthier options at checkout, making it easier to make healthy food choices. The Healthy Retail Incentive Program aligns with our mission at Flippany to ensure families have the opportunity to sustain a healthy life and to create lasting change in the community. We are very pleased to be working with Live Healthy Miami Gardens with this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And it's really good always to have our partners be able to speak easily on these topics, because it shows that with collective impact, with collaboration, that a lot can happen. So we're actually looking forward to seeing positive things happen in terms of having our program pass in the council meeting that's coming up. We really are excited to be able to share a little bit more about, why we think this program is important. So we do have some slides here that would like to share. And I did mention that, we in the Go for Healthy Growth program, which is what has launched this incentive program itself, we have the Healthy Retail Subcommittee. And that Healthy Retail Subcommittee is also comprised of many different partners. So it's really just to show, again, that it's a collaborative effort. And why is it that we find that this is important? Health is everything. We can always speak to that. If you don't have health, you really don't have anything. Nothing else matters if you have a toothache. All you care about is trying to fix that toothache. And so the idea is that to have this program operate, we need to have the support of the council to pass it as a program, but also to have people join. We want to have the retailers join the program. And the idea is that there are incentives that are provided to those retailers to encourage them to join. So it's not that anyone is forced to, that no one has to pay for it. It is a free for you to join. And it's really just about, showing that you have the best interest of the community health in mind. So moving on to the next slide, why do we do it? I mean, there's several things highlighted here. So of course, we spoke to the fact that, there's a lot that's riding on our health. And the fact is, eating a healthy diet is difficult without access to nutritious foods. So if we're able to have every counter throughout Miami Gardens carrying more nutritious food at checkout, whenever you feel that urge and you last minute purchase right at the counter, it'll make it easier to make that choice. I mean, look at some of the statistics here. It says each year, chronic diseases account for 70% of all deaths in the United States. 70%. That is unacceptable, and it should be unacceptable in all communities. And it is that we need to make sure that diets are part of a huge, the composite of what makes for good and comprehensive health. And as I mentioned, us working together is how we're going to get it done or get to that place. And so, our community liaisons being active in the community, doing the work, meeting with the people, speaking on the topic, what we want you all to be able to take away from that, from today, is that we want to be able to pass this program. You can support it by taking the pledge, and you can access the UHP. And if you have any questions about the program, you can always contact me, Natalia, at urbanhp.org, and really any of the different partners that are in this group. So Florida Impact to End Hunger, who's here with us today, as well as, Flippany. And so we encourage you all to get with the program and show the community that we go for healthy growth and want to be part of helping residents, visitors, youth, and the community live healthy in Miami Gardens. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to have you and to be the host today. And I wish you the best of health.